Hi, thanks for dropping by this video. My name's Truth, formerly Paul Burton. I was a student, a disciple, a trainer at Rebirth International, Leonard Orr's training center, first in Staunton, Virginia, and then in Walton, New York. And I'm apologizing. I'm making this video to apologize, in the role as a trainer there and a rebirther. I taught some things that basically taught his, teachings and philosophy, which I've come to realize are actually not true and actually quite harmful. Some of them, not everything. And so in this video, I'm apologizing for teaching some of the things around physical immortality that he taught. So first and foremost, I think it's beautiful and amazing that Leonard Orr is putting forth the idea that physical immortality is possible and really um, in a sense, really challenging people to really a very profound achievement, right? And really challenging the paradigm that death is inevitable. So that's very beautiful. However, the idea that physical immortality is sort of the supreme spiritual attainment, which, and that actually what he says is if what Leonard Orr teaches and what I taught, just passing it along, is if you don't attain physical immortality, you failed. That the ultimate test of life is to attain physical immortality. And I'd like to really apologize for teaching that. It feels like a very distorted, untrue doctrine. Um, First of all, not achieving one thing in life doesn't make life a failure by any means. And there's no, the idea that, uh, and that's not to say that at a certain point on the path, people don't achieve physical immortality. There's stories of siddhas. Um, there are it's kind of built into Hinduism that it's possible, but to say that that's the ultimate, um, fundamentally it's fundamentally selfish. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with striving for it, but let's be honest. Like it's a fundamentally self-centered philosophy. The idea that it's the ultimate, because then it becomes all about you. It becomes all about the body. Now, if Leonard Orr had presented it as uh, love and surrender to God through such an extent that physical immortality is a byproduct of that love and surrender. Now that's something that I could get behind. Um, the other piece is that, well, that's really it. The other piece is peace. You know, peace and non-attachment is really the supreme spiritual attainment. And there's actually scriptural references about immortals, and that's actually what they say. Is they say those who are neither adverse nor grasping towards life or death, that is the being too. That death has no interest in such a being. So this idea of trying to attain physical immortality, it's it's kind of backwards. It's more like we attain a lack of non-attachment and a sense of freedom. And so that's from the Yoga Vasishta, what I just quoted. One of Hinduism has many scriptures, but it's one of the classics. Like it's very high up. Hinduism has like this mountain of scriptures, but the Yoga Vasishta is considered a very high scripture. Um, and that's straightforward what it says is that lack of attachment to life or death. That for such a being, death has no interest in such a being. Um, so it's really going about things backwards. The first priority would be what's called self-realization and or liberation from suffering, from attachment, from ego. And then, from a place of non-attachment, if one's inspired to pursue physical immortality, but so be it, so be it. But that's not how Leonard Orr teaches it at all. He teaches, oh, it's so important to attain this thing, that that the essence of true spirituality, which is peace and freedom and non-attachment, or really, I want to say the foundation, just gets swept aside, and then spirituality becomes a form of materialism, right? I mean, that's the difference. Is true spirituality is about surrendering to spirit and becoming just completely free and unattached. Whereas materialism is about having a specific, um, seeking happiness through having a specific goal and then pursuing that goal. And so I'm not saying there's anything wrong with the pursuit of physical immortality. It's pretty awesome. Just the idea of it's pretty awesome. And what I am saying is the way it's taught by Leonard Orr is very backwards and in a sense very harmful. It makes you more selfish ultimately. Um, it's actually not consistent with the Hindu scriptures. Actually quite inconsistent. And the idea that the average person, that's the other thing. Leonard Orr is like everyone can attain physical immortality. Not in this day and age. And that's just not, it's a profound, profound achievement that requires just intense discipline, dedication, surrender to God. It's almost what's missing is Leonard Orr doesn't teach the preliminaries, which would be non-attachment, would be the first one, which would be self-realization. Um, so it's almost like this thing of like, well, let's try and keep the body alive long enough so that I can attain self-realization. But it's kind of this weird scramble that just doesn't make any sense. So go forth, strive for physical immortality, and um, anyone who tells you that it's the sort of the highest attainment or so forth and so on is probably trying to sell you something, appealing to our fear of death, fear of physical death. All right, thanks so much. Comments, feedback, questions are welcome. Take care. Much love.